security researchers at Google's Project Zero computer security analysis team, in conjunction with academic and industry researchers from several countries, exposed the 2 flaws last week. Meltdown, which is specific to Intel chips, lets hackers bypass the hardware barrier between applications run by users and the computer's memory, potentially letting hackers read a computer's memory. It was first discovered by Project Zero in June last year, when expert Jann Horn found that passwords, encryption keys, and sensitive information open in applications that should have been protected could be accessed. A second bug, called Spectre, affects chips from Intel, AMD and Arm. This lets hackers potentially trick otherwise error-free applications into giving up secret information. Project Zero disclosed the Meltdown vulnerability not long after Intel said it's working to patch it. Researchers at Google showed how a hacker could exploit the flaw to get passwords, encryption codes and more, even though there have been no reports of any attacks using the vulnerability. Some analysts have warned that the threat is unique because it is an issue affecting hardware used in many computing systems. Krzanich said updates will be available for 90% of its products in the coming days, and for the rest by the end of January, and urged all computer users to update as quickly as possible. Yesterday, Apple released an updated version of its operating system software to fix the major microchip security flaw. iOS 11.2.2 includes security improvements to Safari and WebKit to mitigate the effects of Spectre, the firm said. The technology giant also released software updates for its Mac, Apple TV and Apple Watch. The iPhone maker had said on Thursday it will release a patch for the Safari web browser on its iPhones, iPads and Macs. firm's introduction of the Pentium microprocessor in 1993 helped usher in a personal computer revolution during that decade. Today, most laptop and desktops in the world are powered by an Intel CPU, including rival Apple Macs, which dropped its proprietary chips in favor of the industry leaders in 2005. Both Microsoft and Sony chose AMD processors over Intel's to power their latest consoles, the Xbox One and PS4. AMD processors are also the preferred choice for many custom and home-built PCs, particularly among the gaming community. This ranges from smartphones to internet-connected baby monitors. Every iPhone, iPad and Mac device could be at risk of being hacked, it had previously warned. Apple confirmed last week that almost all of its devices are affected by Intel and Arm chip design flaws that could expose billions of people's personal data to cyber criminals. The tech company has warned its customers to only download software for its platforms from trusted sources, like the App Store. Apple says it has already put measures in place to help protect its customers from Meltdown, and more will be released in the coming days. Yesterday, the firm released further measures for its Safari web browser to help defend against Spectre. Browser makers Google, Microsoft Corporation and Mozilla Corporation's Firefox all confirmed to Reuters that the patches they currently have in place do not protect iOS users. How to protect yourself. Intel chips from the past 5 years have been patched. More to come. The chip manufacturer says it has already issued updates for the majority of processor products introduced within the past 5 years. The chief executive of Intel has said software fixes for Meltdown and Spectre could be released in the coming days. Speaking at a keynote speech at the Consumer Electronics Show, CES, in Las Vegas, Krzanich said 90% of chips in the last 5 years would be fixed within a week. Reports have suggested that up to 15 years of Intel processors may be affected. Google-branded phones should automatically download the update, and you need to just install it. With Pixel and Pixel 2, the update will automatically install 2 dots, and Android phone manufacturers are slow to patch, so you should contact them to make sure they update it as soon as possible. The patch for Chrome will be installed on January 23rd, and some Chromebooks had a mitigation in its OS 63, released in December, write Wired. If you don't want to wait until then, an experimental feature from Google called Site Isolation can help in the meantime. This feature makes it harder for malicious websites to access data from other websites you are looking at, writes Knet. To use this feature on Windows, Mac, Linux, Chrome OS or Android, copy and paste Chrome flags number enable site for process into the URL in Chrome. Click strict site isolation, and then press enable. Save your work, and then press relaunch now. A few Chromebooks are not expected to get the patch because they are too old. Here is a full list. Look for No in the right-hand column. According to Google, no other products are affected by these vulnerabilities. Microsoft Windows 10 patch available. Older versions to come. There is already a patch available for Windows 10 which will automatically be applied. For older operating systems, a patch will be available next week. According to the company, Azure infrastructure is updated. Reports suggest it can slow down Linux-based systems by as much as 17%. Users can opt out if they do not want it. The company says its web services have been updated. Major cloud services aimed at business customers, including Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platform and Microsoft Azure, say they have already patched most of their services. Consumers should check with their device maker and operating system provider for security updates and install them as soon as possible. With Safari and virtually all other popular browsers not patched, hundreds of millions of iPhone and iPad users may have no secure means of browsing the web until Apple issues its patch. Apple stressed that there were no known instances of hackers taking advantage of the flaw to date. In a written statement last week, Apple said, all Mac systems and iOS devices are affected, but there are no known exploits impacting customers at this time. Since exploiting many of these issues requires a malicious app to be loaded on your Mac or iOS device, we recommend downloading software only from trusted sources such as the App Store. We continue to develop and test further mitigations for these issues, and will release them in upcoming updates of iOS, macOS, tvOS, and watchOS.